Hey friends, how's it going? Now here. Thanks for joining me for my Aggro Prince Rogue deck guide. In this video I'm going to be talking about the basic strategy, the combos, the mulligans, and then we're going to play some example games so you can see it in action. The general strategy for this deck is all about keeping control of the board, which will allow you to dictate the trades so you can get more valuable trades and end up with a more powerful board. And as you get further into the game, basically you want to start supplementing that with more powerful minions and start buffing the minions that you've got so you can start hitting them in the face for a fair bit of damage. Now your initial early game goal is really to try and get Prince played as soon as possible so you can get that huge buff into your deck. Now I know in a lot of cases you might not draw him, which kind of sucks, but when you do it, it gives your deck a huge buff. Here we have the deck list for the Aggro Prince Rogue. So as you'll notice, there are a lot of cheap minions and spells. This deck is very much geared towards that, essentially because those minions benefit much more from the buffs given by Prince. So now let's go and have a look at some of the main combos and cards in this deck. The first card I want to talk about is the Prince card. This is the most important card in the deck, hence why the deck's named after it. Basically, you want to play this as soon as possible to get the maximum value out of its battle cry. So the battle cry will give all minions in your deck an extra 1 attack and 1 health. And if you have a Shadow Step or 2 in your hand, if you're really lucky, you can actually play Prince multiple times and just make your deck ridiculous. In most cases, if you play Prince more than once, the opponent will quit because your deck just becomes absurdly powerful and your really cheap minions become super high value. Like, think about Patches, which costs 1 mana to play and it has 1 attack and 1 health. If you've played Prince twice, 3 times, that Patches can go up to, 3-4 attack and, 3-4 health as well. And once you've buffed your minions that much, you're getting enormous value per mana that you spend. Just like any other good aggressive style deck at the moment, we're running a few pirate cards. So the pirate cards are really good, they're really cheap, and they're super aggressive, and they actually do quite a bit of damage and have some really good synergy with each other. In particular, Patches the pirate, so essentially the value from Patches comes from the fact that whenever you play another pirate, Patches is automatically summoned to the field and it's a charge minion. We have the Swashbuckler, once again, 1 cost minion that will summon Patches. The battle cry will give you a random card from your opponent's class into your hand, so that's just quite good value generation there. We also have the Southsea Deckhand, which is just good for taking out some of those early game minions as long as you have a weapon equipped, which being a rogue is pretty easy since it's your hero power. And then of course we have the Southsea Captain, which can give a bit of a buff to your pirates. It can also be quite good to hold off playing any pirates until you can play the Southsea Captain, so once you play the Captain, you actually summon Patches, and the Patches is buffed to a 2-2, or hopefully even higher if you've already played Prince earlier in the game. This deck also contains quite a few other legendary cards. We have a few cards that are used in quite a lot of the rogue decks, in particular Edwin Van Cleef. This card gains 2 attack, 2 health for each other card you've played this turn, so you can actually buff this up quite a lot due to the fact that this deck has a few 0-cost spells, some cheap minions, some other cheap spells. You can play the coin, you can buff it up quite a lot. Now having said that, this deck is not really focused on this legendary card. It's more about just having good value cards essentially and getting them buffed using the Prince card and being able to play lots of cheap minions that have then been buffed up and had their value increase significantly. Then we have Shaku the Collector. This is a stealth card. Basically, we want it for the power. Every time you attack, add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. Just trying to keep some, cards in your hand because you can actually run out of cards pretty quickly with this deck. Since you have a lot of cheap minions, you can, once you get a bit further into the game, you start pushing a lot of them onto the field each turn and your hand starts emptying out pretty quickly. Then we have Zariel, the Poison Mind. So the Battle Cry and the Death Rattles add a random toxin card to your hand. So basically this is usually just a buff. It can give you some extra attack, stealth and things like that, so it just adds a bit of value. And then we have Leroy Jenkins. This is just a really good finisher card, especially if it's been buffed by Prince once or even twice. It's really good for finishing your opponent off essentially. We also have a few cards in this deck which I refer to as, I guess, buff cards. So we have Cold Blood for 1, just a really good value one mana cost card. Give a minion +2 attack or combo +4 attack. So as long as you've played another card that turn, the combo effect will apply. So you can give a card +4. Can be really good for helping finish off the opponent or just dealing with a huge minion. So can be quite good to combo that onto patches, for example, to take out maybe a early to mid game minion that your opponent pushes out to the board that you weren't really completely prepared for. So stuff like that is really good for. Then we have the Cobalt Skullbane. This is a really good 5 attack, 5 health minion. Essentially at the end of each turn, give a random friendly minion +3 attack. So your opponent's obviously going to target this and try and take care of it quickly. Even by its power going off once and just buffing one other minion on the field, it's pretty good value just for that. Another advantage of this card is it works really well against the Priest because the Priest Dragonfire Potion won't actually affect it because it's a dragon, so it has quite a bit of survivability there. And then we have the Bone Mare. So I see this card in a lot of decks at the moment. It's huge value, 7 mana, 5 attack, 5 health. But essentially we want it for the Battle Cry. Give a friendly minion 4 attack, 4 health, and taunt. So it's really good at obviously buffing a minion, but the taunt has a lot of value there too if you're getting low on health and you just need something to, you know, keep you alive for another couple of rounds until you can stabilize yourself and finish your opponent off, basically. These are the cards I refer to basically as dealing with annoying situation cards. So we have the Backstab card, which is a really good early game play for dealing with certain early annoying minions such as the Mana Worm from the Mage, the Cleric from the Priest, and it can even be good just to, you know, clear out your opponent's board and just give you board control early on. We have the SI7 Agent, just a good value card, combo deal 2 damage, so once again you can take out an early game minion, and then you've still got a 3/3 body on the board, so good value there. Then we have the Spellbreaker. This is, I'm finding particularly useful in this deck, just for silencing minions. There are a lot of cards at the moment, as I just spoke about previously, Bone Mare. It's really good for, you know, silencing the minions that are getting buffed by Bone Mare, for example, and taking away that huge value. So it's really good at just dealing, you know, getting rid of these minions that have been buffed to ridiculous numbers. And then we have the Vilespine Slayer. We want this for its combo, which is destroy a minion. So just like the Spellbreak, it's really good for dealing with large minions or buff minions that are just kind of too painful to be able to trade a heap of your cheaper minions into to deal with. I think I almost spoke about every single card during that combos section, which is kind of interesting because usually with my deck guides I only end up talking about perhaps half the cards, as the rest are kind of, you know, they're important but they're not that noteworthy towards the deck, which is quite interesting. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the mulligans for this deck. Normally for my deck guide videos I have 2 different mulligan strategies, one for aggressive style decks and one for slower style decks. In the case of this deck, we actually only have one set of mulligans you want to go for, and it all revolves around getting the Prince card and playing it as soon as possible so you can get the maximum buff to your deck. Now, having said that, we also have a couple of other cards that you want to go for, being the Firefly and the Swashbuckler, essentially because they're quite valuable 1-drop cards. I mean, the Firefly gives you another 1/2 to your hand. It's a good turn 1 body onto the board. The Swashbuckler, that'll add a random class card to your hand from your opponent's class. Also, it being a pirate, it will summon patches as well, which can be a really good turn 1 play. Then we have a few situational mulligans. The South Sea Captain. I would only hold on to this if you already have Prince in your hand, because Prince is really what you're going for in your mulligan. So if you have Prince, keep South Sea Captain. It can be quite a good turn 3 play. Then we have the Shadow Step card. So this is really worth holding on to if you have Prince in your hand, again, basically so you could play Prince twice, or if you get really lucky and have 2 of these, you can play it 3 times. And usually if you play Prince even 2 times, the value in your deck is just so absurd that your opponent quite often will quit, which is pretty cool. And then finally we have the Backstab card. So if you're playing against certain decks, potentially against the Mage, and you know you might want to take out the Mana Worm early on, Backstab can be quite well worth holding on to. So on turn 1 you can play, I don't know, say Swashbuckler, which will get you patches. You can backstab patches into the Mana Worm, take care of that. Same with the Priest as well, playing the Cleric. So certain decks it's worth holding on to just to make sure you don't lose control of the board at the start of the game. You might now be thinking this deck's going to be quite simple to play due to the fact that the mulligans are very limited. And yes, the mulligan process is pretty simple. I mean, realistically, it's all about go for Prince and then hold on to, Firefly and Swashbuckler because they're just good one-drops, essentially. That being the case, the deck is actually still somewhat complicated to play. There are still quite a lot of decisions to be made against, certain decks that can actually do a full board clear on you, so you need to be aware of things like that. So let's go and play some example games so you can hopefully see some of these situations unfold and how to deal with them. Okay, playing as Priest. Generally this deck's fairly good against that. Hand is not great, so we're going to drop everything other than Swashbuckler and hope we pick up the Prince, of course. Not too bad. Yeah, certainly could be much better, but it definitely could be a lot worse as well. Yeah, if you play something like Cleric, we can coin into the SI7 agent for next turn. Or, yeah, coin into SI7 agent's pretty good. Alternatively, doesn't do too much. We might take it pretty easy, I think. I mean, I don't really want to put, we gotta be a bit careful about committing too much because of all of the AoEs. Dragonfire Potion on turn 6. Yeah, kind of hoping to get Prince quickly. Yeah, it kind of sucks not getting Prince. It's a big buff.
Tonight, a tale of long lost worlds.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, we can quite happily trade into that and see what happens. I don't really want to use my Spellbreaker on that. It doesn't seem that good. Yeah, that's completely okay. That seems kind of pretty nice and tidy to me. And contemplating playing the Swashbuckler just to put a little bit more pressure on and kind of hopefully draw him into playing his Dragonfire Potion. That Talon Priest will be kind of nice to buff us, so... Ah, interesting. How do we want to do this? Let's Shadow Step you back. Let's play him. Because I'm much happier for him to die than a lot of other things. And let's see what that gets. Okay, pretty okay with that. So far, not the RNG has been with us, which is really nice. And we still have a Spellbreaker, which is good, because we might need to use that. Like, we might end up in the exact same situation. Whoa, okay. That's kind of scary. Whoa, okay, that's very scary. That, wow. Okay, so we can probably gonna have to Leroy Jenkins the cheaper one, and then the more expensive one we might have to. I don't know. Actually, we might need to Spellbreaker the more expensive one, and then trade into the cheaper one. I think. Yeah, I think that's probably gonna be what we have to do. Let's get you out so we can happily run you into him. And then we've still got a taunt in front, just... I mean, he might kill it, but we can deal with 1 10 damage hit to the face. That's acceptable. Not ideal, but it's acceptable. That's pretty crazy that he luckily got one and then he luckily summoned the second one. Kind of ridiculous, but it could be his deck configuration. I mean, the deck he's playing, the chances of that happening are probably... Oh. Really need another Valspine Slayer, just saying. Okay. Thank you, game. Let's play that. Actually, that was one of the better ones it could kill. Yeah, pretty unfortunate to trade so much in. But here we are. Nice. What else can we do? That only does 6 damage. We could actually buff it. I mean, he's probably going to kill it, but... make things difficult. That is kind of not a bad body. A 3/4's okay. He's only got 13 health left. Expecting some big hills pretty soon. But Leroy Jenkins, yeah, that's unfortunate. And yeah, I mean that's the thing you need to be careful about with Brees. Just a lot of board clears. So come on, click end turn, guy. Okay. Some poisons. Ooh, okay, so we can use that with Leroy and push. Hopefully a heap of damage next turn, so we just need to get him a little bit lower. And we might even luckily get another good poison from Zarol once it dies as well. So that could actually be all we need. Yeah, this deck's got some pretty good finisher cards in it, and some kind of interesting combos, so... pretty lucky, health is still pretty sustained. Happy that Tar Creeper lived as long as it did to keep us, you know, from taking that 10 face damage earlier. Oh, we got 2 of those, but that's gonna be... too expensive, and damn it, I have Leroy buffed. Oh, that should probably be all we need. That's pretty crazy stuff right there. I would be super annoyed if I was this dude. Exactly enough mana to do this. That's pretty ridiculous. Alright, Warlock. This can be a little bit difficult for this deck at times.
Watch your back.
We drop everything and go for cheaper minions. Well, cheaper minions plus Prince. Yep, Firefly, that's what we're after. I just, yeah.
The pleasure is mine.
Interestingly enough, we have a lot of zero cost spells, so we could actually do a pretty good Edwin turn. Next turn even. That's kind of cool. If they play a minion, we can backstab. Shadow Step this Firefly guy. Get him out again. Generate another Flame Elemental, and we'll have a Edwin up. Yeah, that looks pretty good play. Unless he's gonna buff that. Yeah, okay. That causes some problems. Yeah. Well played, guy. What's the best thing to do? You want backstab and trade to minion in order to take some face damage. Yeah, I think we backstab.
Here we go.
Ignore it, hit face. I mean, we have card advantage since we went second. Should try and hold on to that. I mean, this next turn we can essentially play the Flame Elemental.
Here we go.
Not a bad little Edwin there. 10 attack, 10 health. Hopefully hasn't got any instant destroy this minion stuff. He's only got a few cards in his hand and not much mana, so I think we should probably be okay. Yeah, should be alright. Okay, so we probably need to spell break or something. And I really think I want to get rid of this Void Walker. Let's take that out of the equation. Let's get rid of you, and let's get rid of one of these captains. Stop him trying to push so much damage. I mean, we could have gone face then, but we really kind of need to get control of the board back. And leaving buffs there is no good. Okay, so 14 damage. Not getting too far off lethal now. The Slayer's pretty cool. Collector's possibly useful to generate some more cards, but then we should play that to try and slow him down a little bit.
Die, mage.
Push a heap of face damage. And then next turn, basically we just need Edwin to survive. If we get one more hit off with that, it's game over, because we have Leroy, which is good. I mean, he can take care of that Edwin pretty easily. He won't need too much, I mean... Hit that, trade that in, hit that into there. It needs to deal 1 more damage somehow. Should have a Mortal Coil maybe. Otherwise, we're looking okay. I mean, considering the fact that he got 2 cards in his hand, using a spell lifetime.
You are not the boss of me.
Yep, cool. That totally works.
Almost out of time.
We'll save Edwin for next turn. We're in a pretty decent position now where we can... I really want to push the face damage. So I'm going to make things a little bit complicated for him and take care of his... Yeah.
Here
And I'm actually going to hero power to face 2 because next turn we'll have 7 mana so we can Leroy plus hero power. So we can push out, you know, 7 damage. Just increase our odds a little bit of killing him. Not much, only 1 damage, but it all adds up.
Truth is found in death.
I could, however, do with a Cold Blood. Oh, bad choice. You should trade it in. Take that, get a 4-1. That basically just lost you the game.
Mage.
Interesting game.
Valir versus Rexar.
Okay, playing against a Hunter.
Begin.
watch your back.
Terrible starting hand. I'm gonna cry when I get Prince and I had Shadow Step and I dropped it. Yeah. This is not ideal. I mean, against the Hunter, we kind of want to make sure we get some stuff out quickly, so at least by playing Southsea deckhand, if we go turn 1, we can get Patches plus Southsea out, and then next turn we can hero power. And we should be able to deal with some stuff if he plays that card that gives him 2 cats. And those SI7 agents are going to be pretty useful as well. Okay, we're actually developing a pretty good little hand there to deal with a lot of things, but obviously I'm just like, come on, Prince. What's he gonna push out here? Okay, luckily we have like the perfect hand to deal with that.
This guy's toast.
That's quite crazy actually. And I'm gonna hold on to the weapon and keep that for board control. I feel like I'm just playing Pirate Warrior right now. I don't really feel like I'm getting anything other than pirate type cards. I'm probably gonna keep that. We can actually make a pretty decent trade here. Yeah, let's play Swashbuckler first and see if we draw something. Huh. Okay.
Hey, lights out.
Here we go.
Happy to take a little bit of face damage to deal with that. Looking pretty good. Got a decent-ish board. Wow. We don't really... I don't really want to play anything right now. I might actually just play that weapon. Just so I have something... Yeah, nothing else to do with the mana there. Okay, so definitely need to deal with that. Let's actually do a mana buff, just so we can...
This guy's toast.
Here we go.
And that's kind of cool, that summons me a minion. That's really nice. Keep adding stuff to the board. So many cheap minions. And essentially next turn we can Bone Mirror, and that should be game over, if not close to game over at least. How much damage we got? 6, 7, 8, plus weapons 10. Yeah, we'll be pretty close. Okay, so definitely no choice but to deal with that.
We go.
Let's just for a laugh, I think we just want, you know, stupidly overpowered patches. Because it's kind of like the ultimate troll card that everyone hates. Except when it's your own patches. Always hate your opponents. Yeah, wrecked. I'm pretty happy with how those games went. We got like a good spread of a few different types of decks. And it was pretty interesting some of the ways those games ended. I mean, particularly that priest game went pretty well. It's kind of a lot of back and forth, trying to keep control of the board and kind of, you know, pushing a bit of face damage here and there. And we got him down pretty low to the point where we could do that kind of pretty silly ending where we got to play Leroy Jenkins twice. And we also got the other charge pirate to finish him off there, which was, I would have been so annoyed if I was that guy. Anyway. It was a pretty good game against the Warlock. That can actually be sometimes a little bit of an annoying deck to face off against, but that game went quite well. And then the Hunter deck, which is predominantly, well, myself personally, I've found is generally pretty easy to beat with the Pirate deck. We just completely smashed them, ended up with, you know, full board control, and he never really did too much and, you know, came back at all. Also, I'd like to apologize for the fact that I was playing against pretty low ranked people, basically haven't had much time to play this season yet, so rank 15 was as far as I push. I know normally I'd rather do games against people rank 5 or higher, just to ensure we're actually getting quality of players, but in any case it's still a good way of showing off the deck. That concludes my Aggro Prince Rogue deck guide. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, check out the other videos on my channel. Also, check out my Twitch channel. I'll be streaming a couple of times a week. Times are in the description below, also obviously on my Twitch channel. Check out and follow my social media as well so I can give you updates of new videos coming out, different streaming times, that kind of stuff. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. Until next time, farewell.